From formation to taxation, covering inflation, temptation, high expectations, and that dreaded stagnation. We bring to you Hip Nation.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Hip Nation. My name is Shay.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to talk about looking at the financial forecast. And we've got a very special guest here today. We have Jagger Dirk. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you here. I know that for me personally, talking about finances is something I would rather not do. I pay people to do that for me, but
Yep.
Shay's got some pretty interesting things to ask you, and you're the expert in your world, so we're excited to hear what you have to say.
Yes. I know for a lot of people that are, starting up their businesses, and last episode we had talked about, checking in on your finances, and when you're a new business, your biggest concern is worrying about where you're getting the money from. So let's answer some of those questions today, and start right off with, tell us about yourself, Jagger. Where are you from? What's your story?
I was born in Vancouver when my dad played for the Canucks back in the day.
Ooh, who's your dad?
My dad's Robert Dirk. He played a little over 400 games in the NHL. So
Damn.
so it was quite the childhood. He retired when I was young, so maybe like 3, 4, or 5 he retired, so I don't remember much of it, but I just kind of like followed in his footsteps, and we moved basically every 2 years because he either got traded or when he retired from playing he got into coaching. So grew up in the States, so I lived in Washington, California, Texas, and then when I was 14, we moved up to Penticton, and I've been here since.
What was Texas like?
Everything is bigger in Texas.
Nice.
Is it true what they say?
True.
That's awesome.
Like the food there is amazing, and they have like a great culture, but definitely everything is bigger. So
That's so cool. That's on one of my top 10 places to go visit. Must go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you say everything is bigger, give me an example.
the trucks are bigger, the people are bigger, the food is bigger. You have to go there to experience it.
Yeah.
So we lived in Beaumont, so near the Louisiana border on the Gulf of Mexico, basically. So, we'd have Cajun food all the time and authentic Mexican food all the time. And it was awesome.
And how old were you at this time?
I was 12 and 13. So
old enough to remember a lot.
Enough,
yeah.
Good.
What was Washington like? Because I've heard that there's a lot of political supporters there. And I remember talking to a couple of people that said the news outlets in Canada were so different from the States.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I lived there when I was 6 and 7.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
super
was little.
Didn't even have a political concern at that point.
No, I was just worried about getting home and
He was voting on what they were having for dinner, not so much who was coming in.
I didn't even get a vote. I ate what my mom put in front of me, or else I didn't eat.
Yeah.
So that's how it was.
There you go. Well, it sounds like you had a very adventurous childhood. When did you come up to Penticton again?
2008.
Okay.
2008, 2009.
That's actually you've been here longer than a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
To hear someone say that they're from here, originally from here, is super rare, and then that's still quite a few years to be in Penticton because it's such a transient city, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it is crazy to think I've been here literally half my life now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
What brought your family up here?
So my dad got a job at the hockey academy here in Penticton,
Nice.
and I joined and played for the academy when I was 14 and 15.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 16, I was fortunate enough to be good enough to play junior A in the WHL. So I moved away from home at 16, and
That's awesome.
I'd come home for the summer and train, and then I'd be gone for the winter for hockey season.
You're a superstar, Jagger Dirk.
Yeah. So, what are your favorite memories from playing hockey there?
the camaraderie and just like, learning how to like work out and take care of myself, when I was younger. And then as I got older, won a couple championships, build that winning culture. Every team I played for, I eventually became like an assistant captain. So
Wow.
That's cool.
yeah, so it was like a lot of fun, but also like it took a lot of work to get there.
For sure. And you're still so young, but
Yeah.
like to be how old you are, which you're less than 30.
Mhm.
You're welcome to say your age if you
No, I'm-
want, but
28, so
and already have like such a thorough understanding of a winning culture and like all the things that go along with teamwork and taking care of yourself, like you said. Like that's it's pretty phenomenal feat at your age.
Thank you.
At any age, but especially at such a young age.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
Lived a
very
couple
lucky.
lifetimes there.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
definitely felt like it.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely. But you started off with one career, and you really invested in that, and you built that up, and you retired before. I guess the average age, they said, is between 28 and 30 for retirement for hockey players, I guess. Yeah. So, you've already completed one career in your life. So during that time, you basically transitioned.
Yeah.
So kind of how did that come about? What were your decisions to migrate into what is now your second career?
Yeah. So I was playing in England in the EIHL. So I went over there to play with a buddy and live with one of my good friends here from Penticton, Riley O'Connor. And the team there offered to pay for my master's while I was playing for them.
What?
So
That is
yeah,
crazy.
so I took advantage of that opportunity. It was a 1-year course, and the plan was for after the season I was going to go play in Germany and continue my professional hockey career. Obviously, COVID happened and some things changed. I did still have the opportunity to go over and play, but because so many teams and so many leagues were shut down, a lot of guys still wanted to play, so they were willing to take massive pay cuts in order to play. And I'd been married a year at that time, so my wife's a nurse here in Penticton, and she was able to come up for a month. But for me to go over and play in Germany for basically not a whole lot of money, it just didn't make a lot of sense. And I did my master's in finance and management. So when COVID happened, somebody reached out to me asking what my plans were, if I was still going to play. And he told me about his job, and he was a financial advisor. So he asked me if that was something I was interested in, and it was. A couple years ago, I was a tax intern with Sun Life for a summer, and it was a good experience, but it's not something I wanted to make a career out of. So when we were talking about being a financial advisor, a lot of it resonated with me, where I could, make my own schedule and build relationships and network. That's something I wanted to do rather than sit behind a computer desk for 8 hours a day.
That's awesome. Like, just already have that knowledge very early on in the game. Like, so like, finance was definitely the field that you chose. But why, you're a hockey player, and I'm not saying anything because I am a huge hockey fan, but like, these are two completely different fields. I mean, so what, even because you got your BBA as well. So, what attracted you to that, type of schooling post-secondary? Like,
so I had taken a number of courses throughout my undergrad. And one of the fields I really enjoyed was the financial field, the investment side of things. And basically like seeing how much money there was to be made, life-changing money. And like, obviously guys in the NHL are making millions of dollars, but not everybody's fortunate enough, to play in the NHL. So I took it upon myself to kind of like, and the teachers helped, of course, but, what can I do with the money I make to like set myself up?
So smart.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Because there's so many people out there that are making tons of money, but just because you make money doesn't mean you keep money. Like,
well, exactly. And like, as we all know, like life's not fair, and there are a number of unexpected expenses that come up, or people get sick, or maybe there's an opportunity that arises where you can go to Vegas for a weekend or whatever, you know. But if you don't have any of that, like that backup money to like take care of those things, then you can't take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's so absolutely true. But you know, before you even hit post-secondary school, you know, you said you started at 14, just entering that field of hockey. And what were your career goals at that point? Was hockey your focus, or did you like plan out in advance? Because I just know there's an industry nowadays. I've talked to a lot of young people that they're already planning what they're going to do later in life, like after their first career. What about you?
Like my plan was to play in the NHL or at least play professional hockey. And that, to be completely fair, that was my intention even up until, you know, COVID, was to keep playing professional hockey and make good money. But I wanted the money I made to work for me.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
It is.
a lot of young people don't think that way.
Yeah.
No,
A lot of old people don't think that way either.
Yeah.
But it's smart of you to have that, and probably helped with your background, knowing a little bit about having grown up with a little bit of money and using it wisely.
And yeah, like, you know, my dad had made good money in the NHL, and my mom was fortunate enough where she could be a stay-at-home mom, and she took care of my sister and I, and we had all these opportunities. But I also know that my parents passed up on a lot of opportunities to make money, or like, you know, he got traded quite a bit, and I know they regret not holding on to their houses and like renting them out and you know, get the mortgage paid for. Like they had beautiful homes in like Anaheim and White Rock, Vancouver, and like, you know, they regret just like selling it right away and just not putting that money towards investments or properties or something that just kind of sat in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're very perceptive as a young person to take the lessons from your parents and apply them into your own life. You know, a lot of young ones aren't like that. They either follow directly in their parents' footsteps, or they don't care. They're leading their own life. They're going to make their own mistakes or their own choices. But that's very perceptive of you, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's something that, like, as a, you know, we're kind of going a bit off topic, but even from like a high school level, where not a lot of people are financially literate. You know, they don't know how a credit card works. They don't know.
I've seen that. They're like, when I turn 18, I'm like, wait, first things first.
Right? Listen,
Like,
I'm 38 and I still don't have that
Wrong
shit fully
age.
grasped.
No, just, I don't know. And I feel like as soon as they get the power of credit, they rack it up like right away. Like,
Yeah, and they do that because they don't understand the ramifications of what's going to happen.
Yes.
They're okay with making the minimum payments,
Yeah.
and, you know, just racking up, having fun, you know, saying, you know, this is my one life and I'm going to live it. Well, great. Like, of course, have fun, enjoy it, but there's always a price to pay.
Well, and I, like, for me personally, as like a 20-something-year-old, I totally made all those mistakes. But even if I would have had somebody like you in my life who would have said, this is what's going to happen, I still wouldn't have listened. So, like, as a financial advisor, do you have techniques to reach like a younger generation who thinks they're invincible? Or
Well, you can show examples
That's a good idea.
of what could happen and the difference between the two.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. But showing examples probably does really help.
Yeah.
And probably would help me.
I feel like you're fighting a lot against mass consumerism and that need to be incredibly materialistic from, it doesn't matter what your income is. And I feel like you are definitely fighting against that with the advice that you're giving. But if you were able to live that life and be where you are currently, so you own your first home, you know, you're married, you've got your little fur baby, and you know, you're very advanced for where you are in life. You know, what advice can you give to young ones to kind of lead the same successful life that you have thus far? Like,
well, basically, like, you gotta come up with a game plan, because there are a lot of people out there that are gonna have to work until they're 65, and you know, and then they're forced into retirement, and you know, and they struggle in their later years. Whereas the earlier you start, the earlier it can snowball, and then your money's making money, and it's called compound interest, where you know, a quick example would be you have $100, you make 10% a year. So that $100 turns into $110 next year. And now that $10 you made makes another 10%. So now that $110 is $121. And the longer you have it growing, the more gains you're going to have.
Long-term effect, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It reminds me of that quote that you need to forego the luxuries of today for the luxuries of tomorrow. And it's just...
Was that what Kevin said on the last episode?
Similar, not the same.
Oh, okay.
No, there's a lot of variations to that saying, but I hear it being repeated over and over and over again. Like, you know, do without those things that you feel that you absolutely need to have. Just do without them because you're going to get something bigger in the future. But you can see it. You've got, and I think the examples of like Jagger are super crucial for people. You need to have people like that around to make you feel that social pressure to just be smarter with your money.
Yeah.
So, but shifting a little bit to what your current career is as a financial advisor, who would you say is like your main target audience? Who are you as an advisor? Who are you going after?
I find it's easier to relate to people around my own age. But obviously, I want to help anybody. That's why I got into this business, is I wanted to be able to help people with their goals. And, you know, obviously, we want to live until we're all 100, and we want to be successful, and we want to have money in the bank and take care of our friends and loved ones. But again, it is easier to relate to people who are in, you know, similar age group.
Oh yeah, 100%. But like, I think my biggest concern is like, you know, it's kind of like fitness in my mind. It doesn't matter what age you are, as long as you're making those goals for betterment, basically. But there's a certain point, like I look at some people that are within my mother's age group that are like, we're never going to retire. Like, what do they do? Like, that's a huge concern because they're like, okay, well, we've worked and worked and worked, but we're probably going to be working till we're 70.
Right. Yeah.
Oof.
And like, you know, you talk to anybody, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
You know, I want people to have the ability to choose to work. You know, okay, maybe you can work hard and we have a good plan until 50, 55. And then if you want to work until you're 65 or whatever, then that's your choice, but you're not forced into it. And then, you know, you get to enjoy more out of life other than just, I need to make a paycheck so I can live.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Do you feel like it's different for those who own businesses than it is for those people working in the employment field? Like, do you, as employees, like, do you think that their projected income is better or worse?
It completely depends on the business.
Right.
You know, there are multiple successful people, like a mortgage broker, for example. You know, they deal with people's mortgages, and it's commission based, and they do very well, and they can make, you know, $500,000 a year, and then same mortgage broker that doesn't have that success is making $25,000 a year. But if the person that's making $500,000 is spending everything and not investing or you know, putting things in place for the future, but the $25,000 mortgage broker is, in the end, in the long run, they're going to do better.
There's something that I've been dying to ask you, and I can't believe I haven't asked you this, like, off the podcast.
Yeah.
So every financial advisor that I have ever met, like, maybe not the very first time I ever met them, but has always been like, just come and listen, just come and let me talk to you. And at the time of meeting these people, I was like in no position to be investing in anything. Not that I'm in any position now, but like it was almost annoying to me, where I was like, I have no money, so why do I come and listen to you talk?
Right.
So is that something that you hear a lot? And like, do you push people to come and talk to you even if they say they have no money? Or like what is it? What is it you're going to tell me that's going to be like, oh shit, all of a sudden I have $10,000 in the bank to give you? Like,
no, basically we just, like, for myself, like, I just want to educate people. And like, you know, hopefully we get to that point where, yeah, we can do business in the future, whether that's through investments or insurance or whatever. But we want to like spread that like financial literacy. You know, we want to talk about it. So, even if like even if you can't do something, at least you know about it. You know, again, like credit card debt. The number one thing I tell people is pay off your credit card.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, because most credit cards are 24%.
Ugh,
you know,
God.
and it's ridiculous.
I can't even imagine. Like that is, well, I mean, even at a lower rate, like it is, if you calculate how much you pay, it's crazy.
It is.
I'm like, you know, I remember back in my much younger years and when I first got my student loans and looking how much even 5% I was going to be paying in interest. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm going to move to Europe where my education is free and whatever. But yeah, you have to really consider when you choose to take debt exactly how much you're going to be paying in interest. Yeah,
exactly. And just making sure that you do understand that. So like, you know, and life does happen where you have to take out debt in order to, you know, pay for something like maybe a dog's surgery or whatever, you know, like it sucks, but okay, this happened. This is what's going to happen. How can we deal with it? Or at least, you know, make it the best case scenario out of that.
Yeah, that's the important part is the best case scenario because it's the mismanaging of each individual scenario that's going to land you in a really bad spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you consider to be like those investments, whether it's like, I guess there's two different things here. If it's an individual in the family scenario versus, you know, a business entrepreneurship scenario, what do you think are the crucial investments for each of those?
Well, something that I learned over the last year of being in the industry is, okay, let me ask you a question. What do you think your number one biggest asset is?
My attitude.
You loser.
I know. Well, if I'm going to actually be real, like the assets are not, I don't know, they're not quite what they used to be. But I definitely would have to say my perspective because there's like not a lot in the account when you're starting a business.
You probably mean physical assets or what do you mean?
So I would argue that your guys' number one asset is your ability to make money.
Oh, dang.
Okay.
So,
See, I was pretty close.
I would not have said that.
So like, you know, if you want to say like over the course of your lifetime, you're going to make $3, $4, $5 million, whatever your number is.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, none of us live in, you know, $3, $4, $5 million houses, at least not today, you know, hopefully in the future, but not today.
That gets you a little shack at this point. A garden shed.
But like what happens to your situation, to your family,
yeah,
to your kids, if you have any, is, you know, all of a sudden you can't make money.
Yeah.
How are you going to be?
It's funny that you say that because even like I've actually been in the court where they decide who has it's called earning potential. And based on that, they'll actually make legal decisions based on that.
Right.
So this person has a higher earning potential just because of like their history and how hard they worked. And they'll actually like change legal decisions based on that. So it obviously has a lot of power.
And does like education factor into that too?
Not necessarily. A lot of it is experience.
Wow.
So it's like, oh, they look at your income statements where you worked, you know, when you do your financial statements, and they'll actually make legal decisions. I'm like, that is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. No, just because you were smart in quotations enough to spend, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a degree or master's doesn't mean that you're utilizing it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
I've met
true.
I've met a lot of people that have gotten their bachelor's and they're working, you know, at McDonald's and stuff just because, you know, they just haven't used it or there's not a lot of opportunity in the field that they chose.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So like for myself, I take like a bottom up approach, meaning like, okay, deal with like the insurance side of things first before we get to the investment side of things. Because if you get sick or, you know, God forbid you get like cancer or you become like, you get in a car accident and you can't work, make money, well, you need something in place.
Smart.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because it doesn't matter all the gains that you made on the investments. Because if you don't, let's say you don't have insurance and then you have to take 6 months off of work. Well, you're going to pull that money right out of all that investments that you made.
That's so smart.
So, you know, this is your own GoFundMe page that you pay into, you know, $50, $100, $200 a month. Like it changes depending on, what you want the payout to be. But the number one thing with insurance that is dependent on is your age and your health.
Right.
By the way, you say insurance like a U.S. citizen, not like a Canadian.
Really? How
Yeah.
do you say it?
Insurance.
Say insurance.
Insurance.
Now I'm gonna analyze every time you say it. So do you have different tiers, or do you just customize your insurance according to the person? Because I know a lot of us don't have right now that kind of expendable income to place in insurance, but do you count it as a crucial payment that you should be having versus something else, or where does it fit into someone's life, like an individual family?
And are you talking about life insurance?
So there are 3 different types of insurance. So there's life insurance, and that's broken down into 2 tiers, and I'll explain them now.
Okay.
So there's term, which means it's super cheap, and talk to an advisor or an insurance broker, and they'll say, I want a term 10 for $1 million. Meaning if you die in that 10 years, your beneficiary that you would name would get $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the cheapest option out there for life insurance. And then the other one is permanent. So permanent basically means the insurance company knows it's eventually going to pay out, because there are only 2 guarantees in life: death and taxes.
Yep.
So because the insurance company knows it's going to pay out, you have to pay a higher amount.
Right.
But there are some benefits to some people. It has a cash value, meaning you can draw money out of that life insurance policy.
Oh, what? Really?
How? Why? What would be the benefit? That was a lot of whats and whys, but what would be the benefit of having that, being able to pull that out?
So it's let's say we get 20 years. You pay into it for 20 years, and all of a sudden over 20 years, you accumulate $100,000 in a cash value. You can pull up to 85 to 90% of that out tax-free.
What?
But then you don't have insurance anymore.
So there's a cash value and then a death benefit. The death benefit will always be greater than the cash value. So let's say the death benefit's $150,000 and the cash value's $100,000. If you pull 85 out, you can spend it on whatever. And then if and when you die, that $150,000 covers the 85, and then the $65,000 would go to your beneficiary.
Oh, you lost me when we started
I got
talking
it.
about numbers.
That's awesome.
I'm glad you got it.
I didn't know that was an option. That is crazy.
But because it has that investment component, it's a lot more expensive.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. There's probably a huge difference there in cost.
Okay, so what are the other 2 types of insurance?
The other 2 are critical illness. So the main ones that it deals with is cancer, heart attack, and stroke.
Yeah.
If it's life-threatening and you survive, you'll get paid out.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have 100,000 critical illness, you get a heart attack, and you live. The insurance company gives you $100,000 tax-free. And then disability is you get in a car accident, or you take a mental health and you can't work for up 3 months or more, then your disability insurance will kick in and you'll get money back.
So do you have to get a health check before you get that or anything, or can you just purchase it? Because my concern is always pre-existing conditions, or what if you end up having head trauma from a fall or something, and suddenly they look back on your history and you had a concussion in the past. That's always my concern when it comes to insurance. Those are the hard questions.
Yeah.
So
most insurance companies, they'll have a medical where they do ask those types of questions. What's your history?
Yeah.
Height and weight, any surgeries in the past, because at the end of the day, they're a company and they want to make money off you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they will ask those types of questions, and depending on your answers, they may approve you, but give exclusions, or they may straight up decline you, or say, you know what, we'll approve you, but instead of a normal premium of $100 a month, it's going to be $150 a month for you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That makes sense.
So,
nice.
And it's on them to to basically verify everything. So you tell them what your history is, and then basically they have up to 2 years, I believe, to verify it. And then after that 2 years, like, it's locked in place.
Huh. That's cool.
Wow.
I like it.
But again, each insurance company is different. So your advisor, your insurance broker, would have to talk to you and the insurance company and make sure you fully understand everything. Otherwise, the advisor is liable.
So probably some sound advice, I would imagine, would be to get your insurance sooner rather than later, because most people do develop something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And like life insurance is it's a privilege, not a right, which is, I've had those like tough conversations where when you need it is when you're not going to get approved for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get
You
that.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while you're young and you're healthy, if you can, get it in place, because you can always extend it. But if you're declined, and then nobody will take it. Will take you as a client.
It's just like, you know, we didn't think about the home insurance or the boat insurance until we live in the Okanagan. This is fire zone right here. And then suddenly there were people trying to buy homes, and you need to have your insurance set up, and they couldn't because it's fire season. Like, you have to think about these things before you hit that zone of, sorry, this isn't going to happen right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're all susceptible to anything, sickness, obviously death, but none of us likes to think about it.
Well, no, and it's not a fun, sexy subject to talk about,
For sure.
Like, it's not like investments where you can get these gains and you make a lot of money. You've got to ask the tough questions, the hard questions, and they're uncomfortable for sure. But it's something that I think, as other advisors out there, need to have those tough conversations with our clients or potential clients.
You just go talk to Kevin Smith. He'll give you a good way to talk about death. He's good at that.
And he was like, this is not going to be a sexy conversation. We were talking finances. So when we asked you to be on here, we knew that it wasn't going to be sexy, but it was going to be hella entertaining. So, when it comes to your experience in the industry, what is one piece of advice that you can give, more leaning on the business side of things, that you can give to new business owners when it comes to their finances?
Have a short-term, medium, and long-term plan. Okay.
Is that 3 different plans? Short-term, medium, and long-term?
Yes.
Okay.
So how are your activities within the first year going to contribute to your medium plan, which is going to contribute to your long-term plan?
Man, that's a lot of thinking ahead.
Are you kidding me? Okay, so this is coming from Sarah, who has an amazing business coach that made her set up those plans to her business. So to have that from a finance, come on, girl, I know you got this. Like, she's probably already got it. She's like, no, I hired people for that.
I have like a 3-year vision, but it's not like I'm gonna make X amount of dollars by X date. It's like, I'm going to hire this many people, and I'm going to have this building and those pieces of equipment. And so, yeah, I mean, yes, it has to do with finances, but it's not like what you're talking about, where it's a set in stone. Or is that what you're talking about? Like, should I have a set in stone dollar amount as a new business owner?
No, like every business owner and every business is completely different. So like it definitely goes on a case by case basis.
Yeah, that was my question. I was going to be like, is it like a ratio basis that you should be aiming for, or like how much should you have in there?
No, like we can use like the excavation business as an example. They are very machine heavy, so they have to invest and take on a lot of debt to buy these massive machines in order to make the money.
That's right.
Whereas another business owner could, buy a food truck and, just have to get like supplies. So like completely different scenarios.
That was one of my dreams, by the way. I was like, I'm going to own a food truck. I'm going to make donuts. And then I became a celiac and I was like, no donuts. I don't wish death upon myself, but I get it. It's you got to change it and adjust it according to what your business is. So, talking to an advisor would probably be super crucial. But on a personal level, should we be doing that as well? Is like having that one, 1-year plan. And
I absolutely think so, yeah, because it gives you something to work towards. And there are ways where your advisor can set things up. Every paycheck, maybe $100 gets taken out for investments, and then once a month, maybe $20 to $50 goes towards the insurance that will cover you. Like, you can have those conversations with your advisor, but the number one thing that my clients need to have the ability to do is, what is your cash flow for the month? What are your expenses? How much are you bringing in? Because if we don't know that, then we can't do anything.
Do you do that? Like, do you help with that, or you just advise? Like,
no, we help with that.
Excellent. Yeah. So you could literally be like, here's my bank account statement. This is how much debt I have. Can you help?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of very interesting, because it kind of helps those people that have no idea where to start to kind of, figure it all out. Because there's so much advice out there, but to have one person say, listen, like, here's your, debt to income ratio or whatever. And like, this is, tell me what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll help you, guide you along that path.
Yeah. And obviously it's different for every age group, between 18 and 30, people are having fun, but they also eventually want to buy a house. So you need to save up for that down payment, or they want to go on a cruise. That's going to cost, $4,000 in 2 years. So, okay, maybe every month, $100 or $200 goes towards a different account to save up for that. So, having those short-term goals and then long-term goals of, I want to retire when I'm 50 or 55 or, whatever it is that it is for you. But you need to kind of figure out what are your goals. And then that's where the advisor can come in and say, okay, I see your goals now. Now let's come up with a plan to get you there.
So now you've reached this level in your life, like we were talking about before, where you've accomplished so much. What are your personal or professional endeavors going from here? Because lived a couple of lives already.
Well, my wife and I definitely want to have kids over the next couple of years, so that's going to be obviously quite the endeavor.
I am so excited. Every time someone's like, at the beginning, they're like, we're going to have kids one day. And I'm like, there's two parts to it. One, I'm always like, sucker. And the second part is, I'm just so excited for those people moving into that next chapter of their life, because kids are amazing.
It totally changes you as a human being.
Yeah. So it is a beautiful experience. I mean, to those people that don't have kids, it is a beautiful life with and without. It's just, there's a different part of you that kind of opens up when you have kids.
Yep, totally. And it's not filled by having a pet. I know people love their fur animals, and I've been that person, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's just not the same love.
No, and we definitely want to take the time to, build our own financials up.
Yeah.
Before,
smart.
because
so smart. Yeah.
Because kids aren't cheap. So
everyone that comes
you can make it cheap.
So smart.
I'm like, but wait. Now that there's 6 in my house, I can tell you how to be super efficient with your grocery bill.
That's good, because I'll come to you to ask those questions.
Excellent. It's called extreme couponing.
It doesn't work in Canada.
How to mass? Well, I guess couponing is different. See, I do flyers. So I have this app called Flyer. Oh, super. Actually, it's called Flip the flyers. Yeah. So, and this app will actually help you. It'll show you every single flyer within your local area, and you can go through and you can click on it, and it'll send you to the website. You can click on it, put that item into your basket. It's so efficient. So I actually meal plan around flyers.
That's cool.
And it saves me so much money. Okay,
that's smart.
I have a family. Normally, because, we share custody. So we'll have, 3 to 5 kids any given day of the week.
Right.
So we actually, our grocery bill is about $250 to $300 a week, roughly. Lately, I've been able to get it to about $600 a month.
That's awesome.
And that's what we spend on everything. That's lunches, everything. But that takes extreme measures of once you have kids and you realize where your finances are, and just realizing what you do and do not need, And to all those parents that keep going out to buy pudding for their kids or like Rice Krispie squares in a package, what are you doing with your life? Like, I don't buy cereal for my kids to eat. It is like a treat. So it goes in a little bag. They don't have it for breakfast because it doesn't stick in their stomach. So, you know, where you're a professional in the financial industry, which I really need, once you become a parent, you adjust things financially to make it feasible. So, I mean, it might not be on your radar to have 6 kids, but
I don't think 6 is the number, but
his poor wife Jamie's like, no. But so, you know, you want to have kids, and what do you foresee, you know, when it comes to you're just gonna grow and, you know, bigger home, or, you know, are you traveling? You guys gonna travel, or?
We would like to travel, especially like with our, you know, parents. They're definitely, you know, they're getting older, but we still want to be able to go do some things while they're, you know, still active.
Yeah,
That's cool.
You know, as much as I love to just drink beer all day, you know, I also like to like get out and, you know, go golfing or you know, sightseeing or whatever. So.
And you live in a beautiful area too to do that.
Yeah, we're definitely spoiled.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we own a shipping company, and I'm like, I get to go to all these beautiful wineries all the time and like see what they've got going on. And I'm like, this area is gorgeous. Like, I know people travel from other parts of the world to come here. Yeah. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I want to go to Europe. It looks so pretty. And they're like, do you realize where you live? Yeah. Like, fair enough. But, you know, you've accomplished so much. What is one piece of advice that you would give your younger self?
I would have started my investments even earlier.
God damn. You're just like so smart. I just can't stop saying it.
Yeah.
Like, I really got into investing around 24, 25. But like, I had, you know, worked at the hockey school like during the summers and like made some good money. That, you know, new iPhone, new Xbox, whatever, that, or went to the casino because like I had nothing else to spend my money on. So I was like, I may as well gamble it, you know, instead of like having the thought of like, okay, just put it away because, you know, life happens and things pop up. Where it would be nice to draw on, you know, a couple extra $1,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know.
It's funny that you say that, like new iPhone, new Xbox, and casino, because you don't know what else to spend your money on. And it reminds me of, funny enough, Justin Bieber, because everybody like gave him so much shit for like spending his money frivolously and like getting speeding tickets all the time and having all these nice cars. And it's like, if you were like 11 years old and a millionaire, and all of a sudden you like grew to be 18 and you had all this money sitting in your bank that you now had access to, what the fuck would you do with it?
I'd be throwing them dollar bills everywhere.
Right?
Like, dollar bills for everybody.
Like, everybody hates on him, but he's doing exactly what anybody else would, most people would probably, like, probably not the Jaggers of the world.
Yeah,
but
can you imagine Jagger as like a Justin Bieber? He'd be like, and I've built this empire and this empire with
and
all the funds
stocks.
But like, it takes money to make money.
Yes, it does. You got to spend it to get it, right?
Yeah. And like something that like I enjoy spending money on is buying assets, whether that's stocks or I don't have any investment properties yet, but I hope to get into that in the future. It's just, I want my money to make money for me.
Yeah.
So then eventually I can just say, you know, just sit back and I don't have to work. Like all of Jamie's and I's expenses throughout the year without kids or whatever are covered by the money that my money's made.
Yeah.
Whether that's, and everybody's different. So that could be, you know, $40,000 a year, 80,000, 200,000, but you got to take that first step.
Yeah, I remember listening to this audiobook that was like it had to do with how to build a farm. And he said everything that you have in your life needs to make money. So everything that you purchase in one way or another has to make money. And I was like, well, this doesn't make sense. And he's like, well, just think about it this way. You get a dog, and this really hit me personally. So you get a dog. That dog is going to be a constant expense to your life. unless that dog has purpose. And I was like, well, then why do we have children? Like, there are expenses for many years to come. But if you think about it, like, your kids can also help utilize what, what you're doing, what you're building, all of those things. But vehicles, what is your take on them?
Well, we all need one, or 95% of us need one in order just to get to work or whatever. So, but it doesn't always have to be the newest car, the newest truck that, the 2022 truck that just come out. Would it be nice to have? Absolutely. Want to show it off and, get our friends in it and, whatever. But maybe the smarter decision is buying a $10,000 used car that gets you from point A to point B. And the money you would have saved is 20 grand. So what are you going to do with that extra 20 grand? You want to, and like, obviously, like, the classic cars are different where, like, they do appreciate in value, and but a lot of cars don't. Most cars don't. Most cars are just liabilities, and you have to put money into them, and then you got to maintain them, and then you got to, something breaks, and then you got to get something replaced. So it just becomes like a big money pit for a lot of people.
Does that shift if that vehicle is under your business?
If it's under your business, you can, like, if you lease a car and you're self-employed or have a business, you can write off the lease. So in that sense, yeah, it would make sense to have a decal on the car, or, make it 100%, business car. So there are differences, and an advisor or an accountant would have, better insight on that.
Yeah.
Because there's so much information out there.
Yeah.
And, like, it's confusing and it's hard to understand, but, like, again, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get into this business, is because there's so much out there to dissect, and it is a full-time job.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people out there that are do-it-yourselves, but it takes time and effort.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we all have the same amount of. It's the same amount of time in a day.
Oh, that's a cool perspective.
So if I can help you, save, 20, 30, 40 hours of you doing your own research, when we can bang that out in a 30-minute conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's valuable to me as a business owner, because I don't have time, right? So I, for sure, on one side of it, don't have time to sit there and do that research myself. Right. But I also, like, would appreciate paying somebody who knows what the hell they're doing to get that done in, like, a quarter of the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's how we get compensated. We get compensated for saving you time, whether that's a fee, like a certified financial planner could charge a fee, or whether that's, okay, we are doing business, you are investing with me, or we agree that there is a need for insurance, so we go to a company, and then the insurance company or that investment company will compensate me.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it really brings back to what we've been repeating our last few podcasts, is what is your time worth? And really sourcing out that, it might cost a little bit now, but what are the long-term gains? You could be financially secure if you do it right. Yeah. So I love it.
What do you find? How long have you been doing this? 2 years?
I just finished a year.
Yeah.
In
your 1 year doing this, have you found that there's a certain one or two things that people mostly want to invest in?
Well, right now, everybody's talking about crypto.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's talking about crypto.
Yeah.
It is extremely volatile. And it rises $1,000 one day, drops 800 the next. So there are those swings. And if that's something that you're interested in and believe in, then most advisors would say, like, follow your passion in that, but also assume the risk. So, like, for myself, I take a much more risk diverse approach, where we'd spread money out, and some goes into technology stocks, some goes into bank stocks, some go into consumer stocks. Have your money spread out across. Don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, that's sound advice. That's really good advice.
But for sure, there are people out there that have made millions or potential millions of dollars on crypto.
Yeah,
you know.
it's crazy.
But that's just being in at the right time with the right crypto, because there are so many new cryptos being made every day.
Do you know much about this RFT stuff?
RFT.
Is that what it's called? Where you like purchase an image and then you get the rights to that image or something?
Oh, the NFTs?
NFT, that's the one, not RFT.
So like I understand the premise behind it, where like I think you own the distribution rights to that one piece of art, but it's electronic, and then if some company wants to use it, they have to comp you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's my understanding, and I could be totally wrong. I haven't delved much into it.
So what I wondered about it is like, are these just images that are found online randomly, or is there like a website where you go and you like purchase a specific image that some artist digitally created, or maybe you don't know anything.
I don't know, but okay. I would definitely assume you can like create your own art, or you can buy other artists' art and own those rights.
Yeah.
But again, I could be completely wrong.
I remember doing an assignment for marketing where it was talking about logo and icon use and the value of each company's, and it had like, you know, how much this logo or icon is worth for companies like, you know, Tesla or Adidas, but they had a dollar amount underneath that of how much it was just to use that. And you have to get permission to use it, and what are you using it for? It's basically like a business proposal of this is what I want to use it for, whether it's on my website, blah 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 blah, and then you have to pay money to use that.
For sure.
And it's not cheap.
Yeah, that's copyright laws, right?
100%.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, to have the dollar value on there, okay, this is projected what this could cost to put this onto your website. I don't even make that in a year, so congratulations, you can keep it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
And I think like if you were to like go into a company's financials, you'd find that under I believe it's called goodwill. So like what is the Apple logo worth? And that would be it. Your accountant would be able to tell you, but I'm pretty sure it's under goodwill, and that's the dollar amount that you know the public says the Apple logo is worth. The Nike logo is worth. You know, whatever it is.
Yeah, we need to put that on Hip Nation. Our dollar value for using Hip Nation is 25 cents right now, but we are increasing on a daily basis.
Let's put that shit on an NFT.
I love it. Yeah. Well, it has been amazing to have you on, and I know that we're going to have you on again, definitely. There's just so much, and I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface of it.
Yeah.
So but we do have a tradition here. Can you name a book, a movie, or a series, just something that you feel that our listeners should look into?
One of the first books I read when it came to investment was called The Intelligent Investor. I think it was by
Shay's finger magneting. She's read it. She's read it.
Is that the Burgundy book? And
yes.
It's a really good book. You should.
I'll never see myself. Anyway.
So
it's a good one.
It gives a breakdown of like what is an investment, how should stocks be valued, and again, this was written like 50, 60 years ago, like a long time ago.
And it still holds.
It's a thick read. Yeah.
And like this is the book like Warren Buffett adheres to.
Yes.
Oh wow.
That's right.
And he's obviously the most successful investor of all time, but it took him a long time to get to the point where he is.
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely not like an Elon Musk or a Joe Rogan, you know, that has had huge, not overnight success, but short-term success.
Yeah, bigger strides, probably.
Whereas he's taken a long-term approach. He's let his money work for him. He's continued to buy assets and stocks. And, you know, I think he still lives in the same house that he bought 40 years ago. And he's worth, you know, $1 billion or whatever it is that he's worth. He buys money, or he buys an income with his money. Yeah. So it compounds. It snowballs.
He's got a few books himself too. That I've been looking at. Not that I read a whole lot, but I've been looking at them.
Start early, invest often.
It's just... And I think one of his, I don't know if it's partner or one of his like executives, but like, and I could be absolutely butchering his quote, but his quote was like, "Work your ass off until you get to that first 100,000. Once you get the first 100,000 in the bank, then you can ease off the gas a little bit. But once you get to that 100,000, then like solid 8% return a year, well, that's $8,000. Like, that's not a small chunk of change.
No.
Whereas
That's
8% on
awesome.
$100 is $8. So it scales.
Right.
That's awesome.
In what year is that relevant? This, like, is that first $100,000 in 2021 is totally different than $100,000 in 1990.
Oh, 100%.
Right,
But
I
I think he said this maybe like 7 years ago,
Okay.
where that
Fair
100,000 is still very relevant.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
the sacrifices leading up to that, I don't know, like if you ask successful people, how did you get to this point?
Mhm.
You know, someone told my hubby, he said, and pardon me, like English is his second language, so I'm going to repeat him verbatim. But he said, no new shirt for 5 years.
Mhm.
He said, you don't buy anything, nothing for 5 years. So, you know, extra expenditures aren't there. You're not buying anything new. He's like, but I ate, mind you, like I ate food, but nothing for 5 years. And he said, you have one person, if you're in a partnership or a couple, you have one person that works full time and one person that pursues the dream. And you're talking about somebody that owns a couple hotel chains and, you know, has amazing, they came onto the lot and talked to him and dropped $100,000 on a truck. And it's for business and life. But he literally said, he's like, I can afford to do this now.
Yeah.
You know, Jagger sitting here, he's like $100,000 on a depreciating asset. But, you know, the concepts are there that these people have made the sacrifices now for the long term, right?
And that's a conversation that my wife and I had before I got into this, because a lot of advisors out there really struggle the first couple years, and, you know, they have these expenses and they can't afford to only make 10, 20 grand for the first 2 years. So in knowing that, I had my wife's support, where she makes good money at the hospital as a RN. She's like, I want you to pursue this. I know you want to do it, and I know, you know, things won't be easy the first year, but like, I got us.
Aww.
And then build up my business, build up my clients, and eventually, you know, I can reward her.
That's awesome. I love it. She sounds like an amazing human being.
Yeah.
I am. I'm lucky to have her.
I thought you were just going to say,
I'm amazing.
No, I am the amazing one, actually.
No, but that is, you know, I am so excited to watch you guys, you know, going into your future, your next chapter of your life here. And I'm so excited that you came onto the show. And,
Thank you for having me. And
Yeah.
I'm already looking forward to the next one. I'm
Yeah,
sure you guys
me
will
too.
have lots of questions, and
Yep.
yeah,
hopefully I'll
a
have
list.
lots of answers, but
But
I just want to help people. So hopefully your listeners were able to take something, or at least, you know, kind of get the cogs going so they can think about their own future. And, you know, hopefully I was able to shed some light on something for them.
100%. And I know that my hubby and I will definitely be coming to see you, but out of curiosity, how do people contact you? How do they get in touch with you?
People can email me. It's Jagger, so Jagger at wwfgroup.ca.
Like,
WWF.
I go right to wrestling every time.
Really? Because I went to
I'm old.
I went to the Wildlife Foundation.
Yeah,
I'll be sure to bring in the WWF belt next time.
Yes, do it.
Yep. So the website is Whitewater Financial. So that's the company that I'm affiliated with. And yeah, you can reach me through them.
I think I cut you off when you said your email because I got so excited about the WWF. Was it WWF.com?
WWF Group.
Group.ca.
Yeah.
.ca. Okay, I totally butchered it. Good thing I asked.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much.
Why did I put my? I gotta get some call from Germany at 2 a.m.
You'll be like, well, let me connect you with someone in your local area.
Thanks very much for being here, Jagger. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
All right, stay hip.